Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Los Alamitos Race Course here on this Sunday afternoon for the Los Angeles County Fair season at Los Alamitos. I'm Ed Burgart, the nighttime quarter horse announcer, the daytime simulcast host, and normally we have a handicapping seminar before the races, but we also like to introduce the public to a lot of our new riders coming to California, and certainly a name to be reckoned with here in the future is SashaRisenhoover from Sallisaw, Oklahoma, the same place that a good friend of mine, G.R. Carter, came from. And welcome to California. What's it been like for you so far?
Thank you. It's been breathtaking. It's been definitely a dream come true.
Now, I know you were down at Del Mar. You won the Del Mar Juvenile Fillies, and It was a very emotional win for you. It was aboard a horse called Tara's Angel, and I know a lot of emotions went into that. Can you just, without going into too much detail, tell us your thoughts about that first major win for you here?
Man, there's really not even any words. I'm just so emotional and blessed, and just like you said, the story behind it, and Terry's daughter, and all. It was very emotional.
Okay, for those not familiar, Tara, the co-owner's daughter, you rode this horse, I think, 3 days before she passed away from cancer, and you kind of followed the horse ever since then. And how did you go about meeting the whole family?
Well, Terry, which is the owner, and he was training her in Texas. He had bought the filly in Keeneland, and he brought her to Texas, and I had worked her for him. And we just continued to work her and all, and then he had told me that the horse was named after his daughter. Mm-hmm. And then when he told me that, and he told me the story behind it and all, it was just like, I have to do this, for this girl. And the day that she broke her maiden, and that girl just cried in tears, and just to see her so happy, it made me cry, It was very emotional. And then 4 days later, she passed away. But to make that girl's dream come true before she passed away, it was very special.
I know it was a very special moment when Tara's Angel won down there. Dallas Keene was the trainer, but now to get back into how your career got started, because you come from Sallisaw, Oklahoma. I had family back in Henrietta and Okmulgee a long time ago. I've never been to Sallisaw, but G.R. Carter, who's won about 9 or 10 titles as the quarter horse champions from Sallisaw, I assume you met G.R. at some point in your career.
I've met G.R. Carter a few times, yes. I've actually rode with him at the mixed meet in Fair Meadows.
Now, you were telling me a story beforehand about G.R. Carter. First time you met him, can you kind of relay what you told me?
He just come up to me one day, and he introduced himself to me, and I didn't get all like, oh my God, it's G.R. Carter. And he was just kind of like, you know who I am, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, it's very nice to meet you, you're a great rider. And then I just kind of walked away, but he was just like, I guess kind of sad or disappointed because I didn't get all excited, I guess. I don't know. But he's a great guy.
Of course, G.R. Carter rode out here back in the early 1990s. In fact, I think the first time you rode here, you were 2 years old, you told me at the time, back around 91 or 92. You was born in Sallisaw. Tell us how you got involved in horse racing, because I think you grew up from what I read, on a 200-acre farm with a lot of cows and
cattle. Yeah, we have a 300-acre farm with about 80 head of cattle back home. That's what my dad lives for. That's his pride and joy. Where I was going to college at, I was renting a house, and there was a little farm up on the hill. And I've always grew up around horses and rode horses my entire life, but that was just different to see how they were trained and all. So I just went up there one day and introduced myself, and a guy named John Garvin was up there, and he was very kind enough to talk to me and tell me a little bit about it. And then he asked me, "You're really small. Would you want to try it one day, and gallop?" And I was like, "Sure." I got all excited. So I ended up going up there the next day and got on some horses. And long story short, I worked for him for about a year, going back and forth to the tracks with him, galloping and getting to know people. And then the next thing you know, I get my jockey license, and here I am.
I think you got your jockey license in 2010.
Yes.
And that was in Lincoln, Nebraska?
It was in Nebraska, yes.
And you've ridden on a lot of different tracks, but also something about your background a lot of people don't know, and I didn't tell you I was going to bring this up, but when you were in high school, I searched some of the records. You actually played basketball as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
I love basketball. Yeah, that was my sport. It's a big hobby for sure. We had a very good team when I was there and all. And we went to state and regionals, districts, area champs. We had a tremendous, every year, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, we were right there. So yeah, basketball is my sport.
So she's gone from basketball to horse racing. Went to college for a short period of time. How long did that last?
I went for 2 years, and then the horse racing just got in my blood, and it was all over with. I just knew that it was my calling and what I wanted to do.
I read one of the headlines in a story that said the rush gets to you. What does that mean?
Just being out there and just being on the horse and them underneath you and getting to feel the adrenaline rush and breaking out of the gates and as you're going around through there, and you've got to make quick decisions and everything. It's just that rush. And then when you turn for home, it's like everything's on the line, you know? You got to give it your all to get to that wire first.
I've never ridden a horse, but I think most of the people involved in horse racing, the reason they like it, gamblers get a rush. I get a rush from calling the races, especially when I see a good horse running out there. And you've been on some good horses. I know you went from Oklahoma, I believe, down to Texas.
Yes.
Tell us how your career kind of blossomed from there.
Well, I started out in Oklahoma, and then, I went to Texas. And Terry Eoff, which is the trainer of Tara's Angel, he actually gave me my first real chance in Texas to ride for him. And he's been with me and stuck with me ever since. But as I went along, then I ended up meeting Mr. Broberg, rode for him, and been riding first call for him until I came out here. He was very kind to stick with me and believe in me and give me the chance to, and we went on to do good things too.
Well, I noticed I went through some stats this morning. I don't know if these are updated, but according to Equibase, you had over 324 wins, more than $4.4 million in purses. And so you've been well known, not here in California, but I think you were second or third leading rider at Prairie Meadows. You rode against some talented riders at that track. So how was the Prairie Meadows experience?
Prairie Meadows was probably my favorite track back there. And it's the people, everybody's nice up there, but getting to ride with those riders is very classy as well because they're older and all. But to be up there and compete with them and to finish third, it was cool. It was good.
Noticed some of the horses that you rode, and I came up with a name called Wit 6. You probably remember that horse, and I believe that horse ran in Texas, if I recall.
Yes.
What can you tell us about when Wit 6 ran and why that name means something to you?
Well, Wit 6 was my first stakes win in Texas. And Terry was training the horse, and Henry Witt is the owner, and he was kind enough to let me ride him. But it was my first stakes win in Texas, so that's why that was so special and all. Yeah. And the horse was he was very classy and nice to ride. Just one of those push-button horses.
Well, it takes those stakes wins to get a rider going, and obviously that kind of propelled your career to where you've done so well. But we had an interesting story earlier, I was talking to you about it, because from what I read initially, your dad wasn't in favor of you becoming a jockey, but then you found out something interesting about your dad, so tell us.
Yeah, my dad was not okay with me being a jockey, with me being an only child and all, and it's so dangerous. He worries because my dad is like my best friend. But one day I was looking through some pictures and all, and I found a picture of him where he was on a racehorse, and he was racing. And I took the picture to him, and I said, "What's this?" And he goes, "Where'd you find that at?" I said, "I was in the pictures." I said, "Can you explain to me what this is?" And he goes, "Yeah, I used to do that on the side for fun and all." And I was like, "Why did you never tell me?" And he's like, "Because I didn't want you to do it." And I was like, "So I actually come by it by blood, huh?" And he was like, "Whatever."
That's funny.
But he's happy for me, and he does get excited and all when I show him the replays and I tell him and all. But he doesn't come to the races or nothing like that because it says it's too hard and too scary for him. Because me being his baby girl,
So it's actually in the bloodlines of the family then.
I guess.
Which is really good that SashaRisenhoover, for those who just came here, is new to California. She won with Tara's Angel down at Del Mar in the Del Mar Juvenile Fillies. Tell us about Dallas King, because you've been riding for him quite a bit. How you got involved with Dallas?
Dallas and Donna King, they've been very kind to me. I met them in Texas. My agent actually in Texas introduced me to them one day, and I started working horses for them. And as I worked horses for them, I got to know them, and they were great people, and they gave me a shot. And we actually have done good together. You know, in Texas, we won races and all together. But no, me and Donna, Dallas's wife Donna, have became very good friends. She's actually part of the reason I'm out here as well too. She pushed me to come out here because I was a little scared to make the jump, just change and all, you know, not knowing what would happen and everything. But I'll thank her for pushing me and giving me the courage and stuff to come out here. And Dallas, he's been great as well. They believed in me, you know. When there's a lot of other people that didn't, but they did. They said, you are good enough to be out there. You have the talent. You need to go. And then when Terry said about the filly, that's what really put the icing on the cake. And then I was like, I'm going. What do I have to lose? I don't want to regret.
Well, you're certainly hooked up with the right person out here. He's sitting right over there. But I knew if we had Vince DeGregory on, he would dominate the conversation. So we decided not to have Vince. But he's a veteran aged at 85 years old right now. He looks like he's about 65 years old. He's had 8 Hall of Fame riders going all the way back to the days of Angel Cordero and Chris McCarron. And you're lucky to hook up with somebody like Vince. How did that become a team?
Well, when I was in Texas, and me and Donna was talking, and for 2 years I'd been talking of nothing about California. I wanted to come out here, and so much. I'd watch the races on TV, and then watch like Mike Smith and Victor and Gary Stevens, all those kind of guys, you know, out here. I'd be like, man, what would it be like to ride with them kind of guys, you know, Hall of Fame riders and all. And then I actually had met Mike in Lone Star when he come in and to ride for Bob Badford, and he had told me a little bit about here and stuff, and he said that when you're ready, you know, you should try it, you know, what do you have to lose? And he was very honest about everything with me and all, and I appreciate that. I've always kind of watched Mike ride throughout the years. He's been one of those I've kind of idolized. But what was I talking about?
I know Mike, he's been here at Los Alamitos before, and he's just a great influence on everybody. And the fact that you're able to come out here to California and do as well as you've done so far. I know you've not had the opportunities you wanted, but we hooked up with Vince DeGregory. Of course, he's had all these Hall of Fame riders, and just glad to see that Vince is going to be representing you right now. And what are your thoughts about Vince?
I think Vince is a great guy. I had no idea about his past and all, you know, and Donna was friends with him, and she had called him and told him that about me and how I've been wanting to come out here. Well, he started watching me and stuff, and he had texted Donna, and he had told her, he said, tell her to drop her irons and get low. And I did that, and it really made a big difference and all. And so then when I ended up coming out here, I'd met him, and I told him thank you. And so he took me at Del Mar. I met him, and he took me around the track and all, showed me around, and then he said that he wanted to work together, and I was like, really? And then he started telling me about his story and what he had done and all, and I was like, wow, you know, I was very like, he wants to work for me, kind of, you know, because everything was so new and coming out here, but I'm honored to work with him and all, and he's a great agent, and he definitely knows what he's doing, and he knows the game, so I'm hoping for great things for us, you know.
I know you said you love California, you've been out here. Had you been to California before? Is this your first visit? Why do you like it so much?
I think it's just the class, the horses, the people, the scenery, the weather. It's just everything about it. I can't really say one thing. It's everything.
And since you've been here, been lucky to hook up with a lot of trainers in the morning. You're getting a lot of exercise mounts for Richard Baltus. He put you on a horse down at Del Mar, I believe, that ran second, you told me.
Yes.
And he's one of the big trainers right now. So you got to be feeling pretty good that the doors are going to be opening.
Yes, and he, just for him giving me the chance and letting me work horses for him and giving me the opportunity and giving me the mount and all, I really appreciate it. I really respect him a lot. I think he's a great trainer, and hopefully we get to win races in the future.
Well, you're riding at Los Alamitos today. It's a mile track, but kind of bull ring type turns, not like the half-mile tracks. But you said you grew up on a bull ring, riding, I believe, quarter horses at one time. You went into thoroughbred riding. So just tell us a little bit about your background as far as riding on different types of racetracks.
A bull ring was actually the very first racetrack that I had rode on. When I very first started, I rode on a bull ring. It was in Nebraska. So the tight turns, I got used to that and all. So these mile tracks are a lot easier actually than the bull rings. They're not so sharp. But going from a bull ring to a mile track it's a lot easier. But just riding at different tracks, it's different surfaces, different scenery. You get to learn and experience new things everywhere you go, you know.
Well, you're riding a horse today. I think you have one mount. It's for Mel Studi's son, Gary Studi, and that goes back Hall of Fame trainer with his son, Gary Studi. That's got to be kind of a good experience for you. On a big favorite in race number 2. You rode the horse at Del Mar. That's the only horse I'm going to ask you about today because that's the only one you're riding. Tell us what your thoughts are about that horse.
I'd been working him in Del Mar and all, and he's working so good. He's working bullets. Every time I'd work him, he's just one of those that just wants to go and run, and he's worked good for me. And then in Del Mar, he just slipped leaving the gates, so we didn't get the break we wanted, you know. But I'm hoping for a good break today, and I'm hoping that he comes through for me.
Now, to this racetrack here at Los Alamitos, it's advertised as the longest stretch in North America for a mile track. So when you get to the head of the stretch here, you haven't even hit the quarter pole. Does that make a difference in your riding style?
In a way, yeah. Because normally when you turn for home, coming out of that turn, that's when everybody goes to riding and all, you know. But when the stretch is as long as it is here, you do that, and normally you're going to get nabbed, you know, unless you just got the best horse.
I know everybody's complimented the surface here at Los Alamitos. Horses get over it so easy. You've worked horses here too. Can you just tell us a little bit about the racing surface itself and why the horses seem to react so nicely to it?
Well, it's definitely like this. It's like speed. They just glide over it, you know. It's not real deep and cuppy, and they just seem to get over it good.
Well, that works out really good. And I know Sasha, I'm not going to call you Sasha. We'll go with the proper name, Sasha, right now. You're only 26 years old. 27.
27.
A woman who finally admits she's a year older than she should say. That's amazing. But still, you're 27 right now. What's your future going to be as far as how long do you want to keep riding?
Oh, I plan on riding until I can't ride, you know. I mean, I don't ever plan on quitting anytime soon. I'm going to keep going and hoping my career continues to grow and I get better, and I'll do this as long as I can.
Well, you were one of the top riders in Texas. You were third leading rider, I think, at Prairie Meadows, if I'm correct, or second.
Yes, third. And
hopefully now we can get Sasha into the standings here in California. I'm sure our agent, Vince DeGregory, is going to do the best he can. And again, we want to thank SashaRisenhoover for joining us. Wishing you the best of luck in California. I know with that smile on her face, she really loves the weather here. So the best of luck to you. And we'll go up to Bobby Newman here in about 5 minutes for the changes for today's races. And again, thanks SashaRisenhoover for joining us on the preview show this afternoon.